Is it?
Right, 5:30. Callan, we live?
All right, I'll meeting to order.
United States of the Republic for which it stands, one nation, God, is more liberty and justice.
All right, personal appearances. Do you have any personal appearances or not? Doesn't look so. So moving on to approval of meeting minutes. We have the minutes from the January 16th Park Board meeting as well as the February 7th special meeting. Entertain a motion to approve those.
Second.
Motion by Cliff, second by Ken. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Moving on to the bills. We have the bills in an amount of $1,352,146.29.
Approval for $1,352,146.29.
Moved by Perry, seconded by Mike. Any discussion at all? Not, Callan, call the roll.
Hubda? Yes. Olson?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Kitzman?
Yes.
Hammer?
Yes. Moving on to the salaries. Looking for approval of salaries in the amount of $333,841.97. Moved by Ken, seconded by Cliff. Any discussion at all? Not, Callan, call the roll.
Hubda?
Yeah.
Olson?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Kitzman?
Yes.
Hammer?
Yes. Salaries are approved. On to the financials. Any discussion for Callan at all, or any questions on the financials? Okay. Move on to department reports. Jared, you're up first.
All right, Park Board President, Commissioners, I don't have anything to add to my submitted report. I'll be back up under new business and a few other times, but I would answer any general questions to my report at this time.
Any questions for Jared at all?
Yeah, Park Board President, Commissioners, got a very nice day on Friday. They installed the Service Valley Golf Course restroom on Friday. We got a call Wednesday that they were coming Friday. So James and Mike worked with Borsheim Crane and the installer that came from Montana. Hooked her up on, what was about -3 on Friday morning, and I'd say by noon, 1 o'clock, it was on the pad, and so now we'll just wait to turn it on in the spring. Yeah, it was a nice window of opportunity, and they were able to get here to get it done. So very nice.
Anything else for Jared? No, we'll move on. Thanks, Jared. Move on to Steve, the golf course.
Nothing really to add. Our earliest opening is March 11th, and if this weather pattern keeps up, we could probably get close to that again. Depends if Mike says everything's ready. So things are looking good, and the golf industry, all the indicators are it's going to stay strong. So that's a good thing.
All right. Anything for Steve at all? No, move on to Mike, Greens Committee.
Okay. One thing to my report is next week we'll be heading down to Fargo for our North Central Turfgrass Association. So it should be a good time and get to see all the vendors and stuff like that and learn about the classes.
Sounds good. Questions for Mike at all? Jeff, you're up next with the zoo.
Nothing really to add to my report. We'll be talking later about some zoo stuff when Jared gets up for bid openings. But on the good news side, we were able to introduce our tigers last week. And if everything goes well, we'll know in about 3 weeks. We should look for cubs sometime early spring or late spring, early summer ahead. So been no success for the new exhibit.
All right. Anything else for Jeff? No, move on to Bob Mesa.
I gave you two additional handouts since my written report was submitted. First one is, since our next meeting with this body will be after the Sled Classic and the Border Battle Series, I just wanted to hand out the most updated schedule of practices and the three dates for games. These can change, but as of right now, this is what we have been working with Thor and then Dan Brennan with USA Hockey and Team Canada. So the women and men will be here on March 11th. The practices are open to the public, as far as I know, unless coaches require differently, but we have not heard that. And then the three games will be Wednesday, March 13th, men and women, and then the 15th and the 16th. So our committee now is going to be meeting weekly up until the event. And just give a shout out again to Prairie Grit and to Thor, who are doing a lot of the legwork, and just do our job like we always do for other user groups and provide a great facility and hospitality. So just want to get that in your hands so you knew kind of what was going on. And if you have time to make it over, please do and let me know, and we'll get you down with the teams. The second item is just an update, because I know you guys are in the community and get a lot of questions. So I just want to give you an update of the condensing tower project and what's going to be happening real quick with that. I just got the schedule from Simcoe, and we are set for April 15th through the 19th for them to do that. He's gave me a timeline of the contractors, so I've already got a hold of Main Electric, and I've put calls in to Roscoe Crane and to Mowbray & Sons for getting the pressure welder lined up. So those calls have all been made. Hopefully everything will work, and then we'll get that project done unless we have a unforeseen snowstorm. But so the plan is we'll do the work then. So April 8th, after the MSU men's tournament on the 5th, 6th, 7th, we'll turn the plant off on the Eck and West side, let the sand floor melt, because that doesn't have to really do anything with the condensing tower. And then we'll do the work the April 15th to the 19th. Once the sand floor dries, we'll get in, check the kick plates, the boards, do any repairs on that. And then we'll immediately start saturating the sand and get that ice rig back and built up, ready to go, hopefully mid to late May. And then we'll have the West Rink and Pepsi through July 8th. The Toros are going to do main camp here again right after the 4th of July, so they want to use the Pepsi rink. And then we'll do the swap between the Eck rink and the Pepsi on July 8th. So starting basically end of May, we'll have two sheets then up until we start the Pepsi rink in the fall again. So just wanted to give you the timeline of that. So if anyone has questions on what's going on, you have kind of the timeline of what's going on and when we'll have one rink, two rinks, three rinks. And then the last thing is we did have a Mesa board meeting in late January, and I'm happy to report that they have offered up a nice $19,000 gift to do the flooring in the original rink lobby. We did. They paid for the bathrooms a couple years ago, and we did the concessions 3 years ago. So now we're going to do the front lobby, get that old tile out of there, and we're going to put more of a kind of a nicer type carpet in the front lobby. The West Fargo Sports Arena has that. The YMCA has that. I think our front lobby over here in the auditorium has it. So we'll just tie up those other projects and really clean that front lobby up. And at the same time, we're going to do sandblasting of the bathrooms and the showers and get all new fixtures put in there with James' crew. And then also they're looking at possibly helping with some funding on that as well. So hopefully when the people come back, when those rinks get up, we'll have brand new showers, restrooms in there, and the front lobby all be done and be looking real good and sharp. And then we'll have a new condensing tower and everything will be running smooth then with all the rinks. So, but other than that, if you have any questions, I will entertain those. But just want to give you those updates on those two projects.
So with the sled hockey, kind of obviously scheduled, they have the whole Pepsi rink. There's some gaps. Is Mine State or Toro at ice then?
No, we're basically going to leave that just because of if they want to have extra practices, and plus they do have quite a bit of damage with the picks, and so we don't have maintenance time in between. Especially like you can look on Tuesday, Commissioner Schmidt's going to be pretty busy on Tuesday, and that Toros are going to be off that week. So they are. I do have them scheduled on the Eck rink, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday also Prairie Good has their youth and adult tournament going on the Pepsi and on the Eck rink. So it'll be a busy Friday, Saturday, Sunday between the two different groups. So.
Anything else for Bob at all? Yeah, thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Move on to maintenance and James.
The only thing I would add is we did manage to squeak a few more days out of the outdoor rinks. We did give up the fight. Today was our last day in that battle. So we're going to let Mother Nature take over from there. Yeah, I can answer any questions if you have any.
Anything for James at all? Dave, horticulture, Shannon?
Just coming up, we're looking at a few more plants arriving in the greenhouses. Are starting to fill up. Everything's looking really good. The weather's been pretty amazing for us so far. And then I would anticipate, possibly this week, looks like Corbett is mostly melted off. I would anticipate possibly some MSU baseball practice out there this week if they're in town. So as long as the weather holds, I don't foresee us having to do any snow removal at Corbett this year, which would really be helpful. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Anything for Shannon at all? No. On to forestry and Troy.
Well, I'm sure you guys have all heard some grumbling around town about all the trees coming down. And my department's part of that too. We're doing some tree removal for water main replacements and sidewalks that are going in. But this is a good opportunity to put some more diversity into the community's forest. So as you're talking to people, maybe kind of lean on that. Hey, we're looking forward to getting some more species in there into the city. So, just trying to coat it with a little sugar maybe. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Right, which we're trying to stay away from, of course. But there's some new cultivars of elms out there. There's also hackberry. Bur oak is a great native tree that we should probably be using more of. There's a lot of nice lindens out there. Honey locust. Yeah, so we have some choices. Yep. And then USDA did come out with a new what I'm looking for this week. Oh, the cold hardiness map, I guess. Yeah, so that came out too. So we're getting a little warmer too. So we might even be able to squeeze some other varieties out there too. So.
Anything else for Troy though? Like Tom's probably busy working next door, so move on to Ann.
Just finishing up our last 2-3 weeks of our winter programs. We'll have our annual volleyball tournament here on March 9th and 10th, and we have about 30 teams in it right now. This week's the deadline, so hopefully we'll get a few more, but that's always a fun time. And then end of this month, Tom and I will be helping with the state amateur basketball team.
That's the end of February?
No, sorry, end of March.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Anything for Ann at all?
This is probably for Tom. Maybe you can. So Shannon was talking about Corbett Fields. Are we using Southfield Comp? What is it? Move snow out there? Are they using that yet?
No, the Commissioner Schmidt, the fast pitch team is using the bubble. So as of right now, they haven't requested to use Shields Complex, but again, we'll be monitoring that at the same time as Corbett. Again, if clear, we'll get them out there the best we can. Heading up with a few other things. If they want to practice up there, we can probably accommodate it.
Right now, you could.
Again, I'd have to go and look
Yeah,
after this last week. 2 weeks ago, Minot State was practicing Corbett. So they had four full days of practice at Corbett already. So, again, if it trends this way, we'll have an early start. But no.
Anything else for Ann at all? Tennis, Mark, you're up next.
Tennis, we want. Right there.
Anything for Mark at all? Oh, good. Thanks for the department reports. Move on to new business, bid openings.
Okay, Park Board President Commissioners, I think the first one we'll start with under bids is the African Plains building. So I did put a supplement sheet in front of you that Jeff kind of put together. A little bit of information before we get to that one. We had the bid opening held on February 8th. Construction bids came in at 2.9, $2,971,747.44. Meeting was set up right after that to look at what value engineering could be done over the 17 different packages. After that, Monday, we got that information back. I mean, little things like, Rolac trimmed down their profit by 2% from the original bid. So they helped us out with that, and then value engineered a good amount of money off over 7 different packages. And that kind of, because that took it down to about 2.7 roughly. But I'll kind of refer to the sheet in front of you, kind of go through it, and then we'll kind of open it up for some questions. Again, at the very top, we had the new construction cost of $2,707,525.99, plus a 5% contingency of $135,376. Oh, added a number there. I apologize. $376.30 plus geotech for $1,500 plus $5,900. A&E fees to date of $116,250 plus the A&E fees through project completion of $86,814.45. Overall project, the way it came in right now, would be $3,053 or $53,366.74. In that, we would take that number minus $90,276.25 of A&E fees paid to date, which would bring it down to $2,963,090.49. So currently, the capital campaign committee had in the fund in our foundation of $2,554,871.48. So again, looking at a difference of $408,219 and 1 penny. At that point, without really going into the value engineering piece of those 7 packages. Again, without, we looked at, Jeff, we kind of looked at a lot of the things of, that a lot of it was the aesthetics of the building. So, and that's something we don't want. We don't want to put a building out there that's just not aesthetically pleasing. Again, we want to be able to be proud of that building for the next 100 years. So some of the value engineering was taking away, some of the, facade and a few of those things. So getting down into this, Jeff did have met with GMZS board on Monday. And again, Jeff requested for the GMZS board of directors provide assurance to the park district that the board would be willing to contribute, if necessary, up to the amount of $450,000. And again, with that commitment, and I'll let Dave speak for the board, but with that, we'll be able to tweak some of those packages, but keep a lot of the aesthetically pleasing things to the building. Things inside, we'll be looking at changing some of the fencing and then some of the ceiling, drop ceiling, specialty ceiling things, and then keep the majority of the other stuff with that. So I guess I'd turn it over to Dave on the GMZS side.
GMZS did meet last night. We called a special meeting. The sum and substance of the meeting, we met. We did pass a motion to approve up to $450,000 towards this project. So that motion was passed and recorded last night.
Okay. Yes, I have a question, Jared. Why would we pull out that $90,000 in architect fees already paid?
We have already paid that. That is what's been billed already to date.
Sure.
Out of that $116,250, we've been billed $90,000 of that already.
Oh, gotcha.
So that was taken out of the funds that we already had.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks. Okay.
I don't apologize. A little confusing, but tried to lay it out the best I could. Yeah, yeah, Commissioner Hovde, I mean, again, with things that Jeff really looked at, that, we could, forego in the project or tweak a little bit, that would reduce, probably about $100,000 roughly, Jeff, speaking to that.
Yeah, the fencing that the engineers came up with can be downsized, and I'm not sure what a specialty sealant is. I would have to ask them. I've got all kind of images in my head, but other than that, I think everything else is pretty much tied to the aesthetics of the building, the functionality, things like the door, having the thermo doors so we're not allowing cold in, things like that. I think are going to be important down the road.
So yeah, going into things like that, if we can, reduce that a little bit, plus the contingency, it does give us a little bit of cushion, if there is something that doesn't quite work the way it's supposed to. That is the bid, what I just because Rolac is a construction manager at risk, so they did take all the bids with a public opening here, and then again, we went back and forth trying to figure out what we could tweak. Yeah, they give us a not to exceed number unless it's some type of unforeseen or an agreed upon change order to the project.
That's really try to do it. Big projects, CMR. Glad to hear it. Looks like.
So we're confident that the 450 will get the project done in like 99.9%. What's the worst case scenario if all of a sudden there's another 75,000? Is that on?
Well, again, Commissioner Olson,
Can that not happen?
Oh, it can happen. It can happen. Again, we had it in one of our last projects. Again, this, and with a little bit of maybe a reduction in the fencing and the specialty ceiling is the stuff that hangs off the wires that is more a little artsy and things like that. So I'm not going to say no. Yeah, we're perfect. We're 90 right now with what came in for bids. With the commitment of GMZS, we do have the funds to cover what's in here right now. We do have the contingency of $135,376, but as we know from a previous project, that's one major change order.
And if I may,
but anyway, I am comfortable with the bid. Unforeseen is unforeseen.
If I may, I have one comment. I felt when I was doing my report, one of the things that we are going to be cranking back up is the capital campaign committee, leadership committee, and we'll start our first meeting first part of March. And so the fundraising will be ongoing, but we should start seeing additional funds coming in for capital projects, hopefully over this next year, because we've got many projects beyond this even.
So the $450,000 that GMZS is that money you already have, or you have to fundraise for?
We would have that money. That would about tap us. So there will be some fundraising. It's also been a discussion if push came to shove, we could do a short-term loan.
Okay.
So we could cover that today if we had to.
So that 450 is short of being guaranteed.
Given the time period of construction, hopefully this goes quick, but we know construction, it will go. That gives us a lot of time to fund. So our intent is to fundraise a good portion of that.
Yeah. Any other questions for Jared at all?
Rolac and
Yes. Yes, they will be self-performing some of the 17 packages. they will.
Any other comments or questions?
I just want to make sure we don't get to a spot like we've had on the other projects where we got most of the way done and then we didn't have enough. And comes back to us to, do we come up with it or not? And I hope during that time frame, fundraising keeps going on, we can get there. I feel like we've seen a few worst case scenarios. So maybe that's why. I mean, this is all great. Year from now, I hope it's not. We're almost done, but we need 200,000 more because I can't support that. And as presented here,
Okay, if nothing else,
I feel good about this. Partly obviously. Yeah. Absolutely. I would move we accept.
motion by Cliff. Seconded by Ken. Any further discussion at all?
I think it's a good project and everything. It's just that 450 is, I'd be a lot happier if that was guaranteed right here. I'm with Perry. I don't want to see all of a sudden you have $100,000 extra and who's it going to come from? And I can't support that either. It'd be a little more comfortable if somebody would say that 450 is in the bank and have it right, rather than have to go fundraise for that. But it's a good project, so I just don't want to be held with something again like we have with a couple projects, because I think as we move forward with projects, we have to get away from that mode of operation and have everything paid for up front.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, Callan, call the roll.
Hubda. Olson.
yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Hitzman.
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes.
Approved. Moving forward. Now, moving on to some other bid items. We did put out sanitation service RFP. Circle Sanitation was the only submission. We are currently using Circle Sanitation, so obviously we would recommend that we stay with Circle Sanitation. With a 3-year agreement with review in year 3, and if both parties are agreeable, we could extend for 2 more years. And if it's not agreeable, we would put it back out, an RFP back out for services at that time.
I would move that we continue and engage with Circle Sanitation.
Motion by Perry, second by Ken. Any further discussion at all? If not, Callan, call the roll.
Hubda. Olson.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Hitzman.
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes.
Thank you. The next 2 are for the Service Valley Golf Course mowers. I'd like to handle these separately. The first one is the Service Valley Golf Course real fairway mower. Again, we had $19,300 per year budgeted. We had 2 submissions. We had MTI Toro with a overall cost of $88,300 with a 5-year annual lease of $15,742.07. Second one was John Deere. Their overall price was $76,574 or 47.06 cents. Their annual lease payment for 5 years is $14,633.16 cents. So we would recommend that we go with John Deere for the fairway reel mower.
Okay. Looking for a
Motion to go.
motion by Mike. Seconded by Perry. Any further discussion at all? If not, Callan, call the roll.
Hubda. Olson.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Hitzman.
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes. Motion approved.
Okay, thank you. And again, under budget. The next one, Service Valley Golf Course triplex greens mower. We budgeted $9,900 per year for a 5-year lease. We had, again, 2 submissions, MTI Toro, Greensmaster 3150Q. Their annual lease payment of $8,338.85. John Deere came in at, for their 2400 precision cut, $8,563.07. Even though John Deere is $224.22 higher than MTI Toro, we would recommend as staff going with John Deere because they are able to fulfill our bid by May 1st. And we have no ETA from Toro at this time.
Would move to go with John Deere.
Motion by Perry, second by Cliff. Any discussion at all? Not, Callan, call the roll, please.
Hubda. Olson.
Yes.
Schmidt.
Yes.
Kitzman.
Yes.
Hammer.
Yes. Motion approved.
Okay, thank you. Last one I have is Shields Complex paving project. Ackerman Esvold is looking to bid that out starting Monday, with bringing back results to the March 19th board meeting. I am just asking for approval to move forward with that project.
Wishes of the board.
I would move to green light that.
Motion by Perry, second by Cliff. Do we need any discussion at all? I don't think we need a roll call, do we? Or do we? Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to old business. Board retreat recap. Ellie, is that?
Yep.
all
All
you?
right. We held our special meeting for the board retreat on February 7th. Some of the things we went over, Callan reviewed our 2023 financials and forecasted some future general fund balances. A few of the projects that we discussed, the first one being the pump tracks project out by the Jack Hoven Baseball Complex. Those estimates came in more than all of us, I think, thought. So what we are going to do is go back to KLJ and EAPC to talk to them about potential cost savings. If we do move the pump track around a little bit, what can we come back with to discuss with you guys and review with the Give 360 fundraising group. I am going to meet with as well, just to kind of update them on where we're at with the process. The other discussion point was Corbett Field. We were going to explore the restroom and concession building for a possible partner project. We have some big goals over at Corbett. We had the additional grandstand and a few other items, and I think after the board retreat, we've all kind of thought that through a little bit, and we'd like to move forward just the concession possible restroom facility at this time. So we'll keep doing some research on that. As well, over at Corbett Field, review the possibilities for the rental properties that we purchased 2 years ago, I believe, at this time, to see what options we have there as well. And I am going to move forward with meeting with a possible donor for the scoreboard project. We know the scoreboard over there is about 10 to 11 years old at this point. So review the possibilities of what we can do over there. We have a donor that might have some interest in that project. The next big item is we reviewed Mesa and the auditorium indoor facility plan. As staff, we would recommend the field house kind of be something that we would zone in at this point. We talked at board level, but wanted to bring it to the entire board to this meeting, that you could direct the staff to explore some possible funding opportunities for that. We reviewed our numbers. We know on a bigger project like this, if we want to move forward, we're going to have to look for an additional funding. So if that is still the wishes of the board, you guys can certainly discuss that, but that is something that we would be tasked with, is going and looking at those options as we move forward. So I would look for a motion for us to continue that if that is the wishes of the entire board.
I'd make that motion to look into funding sources for the field house possible.
Motion by Mike,
Second.
second by Perry. Any further discussion at all?
I just appreciate the conversation that we had at that special meeting. I think it was good. Future, looking toward the future, which is good, and sure it'll be busy times for you, Callan, to look at what things look like. You know, there's other ways to get revenue in if it changes property tax. There's a way to reduce some of that. At the same time, just to do the best for the constituents that we work for. A couple of weeks ago now, I had someone ask, you know, it was so cold, you know, why can't we be inside being at a playground? Well, it's funny you bring that up. And hopefully we'll pose that to people. I think it's great to move forward and get nations.
Okay. Any other discussion at all? I guess I'd echo Perry's comments. I think the board retreat was really good. It was pretty informative for myself. I learned a lot. I think we had some good discussion and some good points came up. So I'll be excited and interested to hear what the staff comes up with as far as alternative funding sources for some of our projects going forward. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. We don't need a roll call, do we?
Is there like a time frame that you think? I mean, is this the type of thing like next meeting, or is it 3 months from now? That do you even know what you're researching all the way? Or
Yeah, it's pretty broad.
why don't you just go figure it out, Callan?
But I would think that we would have some information that we could present at the next, whether it be everything you need, probably not, but
I don't think it needs to be there. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of curious what
yeah,
you like.
yeah, I think we could get a decent amount of it put together for you.
And I think the other part of this, we're talking about doing the research, is that indoor facility plan was done in 2020. So we know that 13 million mark is probably going to be a different number now, unfortunately. So we need to do a deeper dive into that as well as we go forward with this. So we'll keep looking into that too.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. On to the MI7 update.
I just had one more thing on the board retreat. Sorry.
All right, my fault.
No, you're all right. The other thing, just in kind of wrapping up the board retreat, we will continue to look at our report numbers for facilities and programs so we can continue to push that out to the community. Those are really good for us when we're looking at grant opportunities, and we can calculate the economic impact numbers. And for us, just as staff, and I think for you too as board, is to evaluate, okay, so the pool was at this number this year and this number following year. What did we do differently? What can we improve? So it was really nice with the getting rec track into play and being able to retrieve those numbers. I won't say easily because Ashley spent quite a bit of time doing it and staff definitely helped out with that as well. So just looking at a more efficient way to get those done and having end of the season recap so we can get numbers back to you guys and to we'll continue to look at ways we can get out there. I can roll right into MI7 if you want me to.
Keep on rolling.
All right, sounds good. We attended the MI7 pre-construction meeting on Friday of this week. They started on yesterday. The process has started with tree removal, so Roosevelt Park will be closed down now through March 8th. We know that that date could be extended, but that's what we have out there right now. As well as we attended the MI6 pre-construction meeting yesterday with Houston Engineering. The good line that I can tell, and Ryan might point me wrong on this one, and that's okay, but basically the pool parking lot and over to Central, that is the MI6. The pool parking lot over is the MI7 project. So both of those are underway as we speak, and we'll just keep communications going with them. I will be the contact for all communication and public relations. Maddie will be out on maternity leave this summer, so I'm just going to keep that consistent. I will do that, and Jared will be the main contact while construction is going on. So those are well underway, and then Ryan will be coming in March to on the next phase of that project.
Okay.
All I got on that.
All right. Move on to 2024 paving projects.
I guess you kind of already gave your update, but you want me to do Bison?
Sorry, I forgot about that in old business. Board President Commissioners talked about the upcoming Shields project. The next one's Bison Trail parking lot. with Houston Engineering, we'll be going to the Planning Commission meeting on March 5th to request a variance to basically not pave that, leave it as natural as possible. We had a good meeting with City of Minot staff, and at this point in time, they are in favor of a variance for that project. So after that, hopefully for the March board meeting, we'll have more information to bring back, and maybe by then we'll have our bid dates and get that project moving forward also. And then the only other one is the plan is for the auditorium, north parking lot, south parking lot, is to get that out for bid late March and bring it back to the April board meeting to move that forward as well. So at that point, that's all the paving we have right now.
Sounds good.
And I got one thing to add. I need a motion to have our bond attorney create a special assessment district for the Bank of North Dakota funding. So we need that in advance of the full application.
Are you looking for that right now tonight?
Yep.
Okay. Callan's looking for a motion.
I'm working. I don't want to say that.
I would move
That's a good
that
start.
we approve Callan to do what he needs to do with Bank of North Dakota.
Motion by Perry.
Second.
You need a new.
Yeah, so we just, to do the special assessments, we have to create that district so that will be for all of the paving projects, yeah. So we created our own maintenance fund for the building itself, but I'm not aware.
Yeah, for the auditorium, Commissioner Hovde, yes, there is funds. Again, I don't have the exact dollar amount. Yeah, we've used a little bit of it. Not again,
it's somewhere around $400,000.
I'd say it's about 400,000. Right, but we are not looking to use that for the paving piece of this. That's mainly just for the building.
Yep. Yeah, we'd go to the Bank of North Dakota, and it's essentially a bond that we'd get from them at 2% to do all these parking lot projects.
All right, so we have a motion by Perry, a second by Cliff. Any further discussion? Yep, all in favor? Do we need a roll call?
I probably need roll.
All right, sorry. Better do roll. Okay.
All right, Hovde? Yes. Olson?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Kitzman?
Yes.
Hammer?
Yes. Motion approved. On to parkland dedication update.
And I will give that to the, so myself and Ellie met with the city manager and the finance director for the city of Minot. And they are wanting to keep the collection of the fees because they have a software that they can use, or that they are beginning to roll out currently, that will allow the contractors and everything to go onto that online site to pay any of their fees that they need to pay before they get their building permit. And so taking our portion out of it is just adding a step in it. And so they're thinking that they can correct all of the issues that it has. And so we're gathering some information, and they're gathering information to kind of see what needs to be fixed on that process so that it will work correctly for us. So as of right now, that's where we're at. Nothing is confirmed, but I think that is probably the way it's going. So.
Lots of potential of another funding source.
Correct, yeah. And originally it was going to be that we would collect them instead of them because they were having, it seemed that there was difficulties on it getting collected, and so they thought maybe us doing it would help, but city manager and finance director think that this software should solve those problems. We should get our money, so that's...
The idea behind that too is it's a city ordinance, it's not a park district ordinance, so they can enforce it where we necessarily can't enforce it, not from the minor. They're already coming in there to do all the other fees. It just makes sense for them to do it. So I think this will streamline the process, and we're going back and checking what we've done in the past as well. So it was a good conversation.
What kind of time frame are we looking at there as far as them? Yes, this.
It sounded like they were in the testing phase of the software currently, and so unless some issue comes up, I would think in the next couple of months they'll have it ready. So should be ready to go by construction season.
And we're gonna try and meet back up with them. I think we said 3 weeks to,
Yeah.
just to kind of understand where we're at with them. So they were dedicated to moving it forward.
All right. Anything else on the plan dedication? Okay, if not, the next item is executive session to consult with our board attorney and discuss negotiation strategy regarding South Hill Complex.
I move that the board conduct an executive session on North Dakota Century Code 44-4-17-1, 44-4-19-1, and 44-04-19-2 to consult with and receive and discuss advice from its attorney regarding settlement and negotiating strategy and to provide negotiation instructions to its attorney and negotiators relating to the Park District's potential claim for liquidated damages relating to the contract between the Minot Park District and Strata Corporation for work on the South Hills softball complex.
Got a motion?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Perry. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We are now in executive session.